Before she appeared before the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Gina Haspel offered to withdraw her name from consideration as CIA director. Criticism on Capitol Hill about her involvement with the CIA's waterboarding program motivated her to forego a public congressional grilling. But Haspel was encouraged to press on. Her supporters say she is perhaps one of the most qualified candidates ever nominated to head up the CIA. Here with more is intelligence and foreign policy analyst Herb London. Dr. London is president of the London Center for Policy Research. Dr. London, thanks so much for joining us today. You know, most Americans don't know much about Gina Haspel, so tell us about her and why you think she should be our next CIA director.
Well, obviously, I'm very encouraged by the fact that she is a nominee. She has been associated with the CIA for more than 30 years. She's a person of distinct integrity. In fact, there's not one person at the CIA who has had anything negative to say. The issue that's arisen is the issue about waterboarding several years ago. And keep in mind that when the waterboarding occurred, it wasn't a decision that was made by Gina Haspel. It was made by the highest authorities in the United States. It was made going way up the chain to those people who make decisions for America. When they made that decision based on a very simple proposition. National security in the United States must be maintained. You cannot simply provide Miranda rights to Al-Qaeda and say, you know something, you're going to be indicted, you're going to go into a court of law, and we will engage in a fair exchange. Al-Qaeda is here to kill Americans. We had to do everything in our power to make sure that no one was hurt. If in fact Americans were killed, people would say, why weren't extreme measures taken to make sure that that didn't happen? Yes, so keep in mind that there's a lot to this equation that's overlooked. In my judgment, she conducted herself in exactly the proper manner. She followed all the protocols. She did exactly what was asked of her, and she did not make this decision arbitrarily. So please keep that in mind. She worked very closely with Mr. Pompeo, who is now, of course, our Secretary of State, and she is highly regarded by him. So here is someone who ran the clandestine operation for the CIA and who has been there, as I indicated, for 3 decades and is in a position where she probably has more knowledge, more understanding, more experience with the CIA than any person in the United States.
I find it interesting that many of the same politicians who criticize her for involvement in the waterboarding of terrorists gave former CIA Director John Brennan a pass when he defended the agency's enhanced interrogation program. So is there a double standard?
Well, without question. I mean, what you have here are the Democrats who are going to say this is unacceptable behavior, but it's acceptable if a Democrat is engaged in doing it. I mean, fortunately, there are enough Republicans there to make the case for Gina Haspel, but she can certainly handle it. She's handled far more difficult situations as a CIA director.
I'm sure she has as deputy director and also in the field. Now, some of those same politicians also have criticized this president for not appointing more women to prominent positions in his administration. Is it Haspel they're really against or the president? Who's the real target here?
Well, you know, the real target is obviously Donald Trump. And any way you can get to Donald Trump through appointees or in any other fashion, that's the Donald Trump syndrome. So I'm not at all surprised by that. What you have in the Democratic Party today is a desire to undermine this president. And while I think that there are some things that the president does that I do not agree with, on the whole, you look at the policies that have been instituted, and we've had a remarkably successful first year in the economy and even on the international front.
So what are the chances, do you think, Dr. London, that she'll be confirmed by the Senate?
I think she will definitely be confirmed. And I say definitely and underscore that word. I feel very confident about it, notwithstanding the fact she too would go through a difficult period. But I wouldn't worry about it because I think in the end, this is the right person at the right time for the right job.
Now, what would her leadership then at the CIA mean for the agency and American intelligence efforts?
Well, what it means is that at a time when there's been a lot of controversy at the CIA, particularly by past directors, I think that you need someone who understands the agency, who is a person of impeccable integrity and who is someone who has the experience to know how the CIA should conduct itself. Moreover, one of the things that she did, which I think is very important, she ran the clandestine operation. The reason why I say important is that when you look at the world stage, we need a CIA that is capable of engaging in clandestine activities, something that was not possible during the Obama years.
I appreciate you, Herb London. Thanks so much for joining us today and setting us straight on this one.